Well, Andreas Bieler is a professor of political economy at the University of Nottingham, and he joins us now live. There is so much we don't know about how this Brexit will actually proceed, how trade deals will be managed and renegotiated. So when we hear Mark Carney, for example, try to reassure the public, can we believe him?
Well, I think in his role, that is his duty, of course, to reassure the markets. But overall, I would argue there's a great level of uncertainty at the moment, and the fall in the value of the pound, I think, is a clear indication of that. So he has to do it, but I think the uncertainty will remain for some time.
Do you think a declining UK economy, like the one we're seeing right now with the fall of the pound to lowest level in 30 years, could that actually deter other EU member states from holding exit referendums themselves?
I think if you look across the European Union at the moment, some parties on the political right ask for referendums in their country too, following the Brexit decision. But I think so far there are no concrete plans in other countries to hold similar kind of referendum. So I think in general people will observe now what's going to happen to the British economy, but I don't think there's this danger of an immediate chain reaction. Okay,
so are you expecting this rising far-right sentiment in the EU? Where do you expect it to take the Union now?
I think this far-right sentiment, that is of course a concern, and several of your contributors have already pointed out that the Brexit campaign was driven by an anti-immigration kind of discourse and an anti-foreigner sentiment, and this is a concern. But we know that in other countries too, Austria recently in the presidential elections, there's a rise of the far right, and I think Brexit to a large extent is also a response to discontinuing austerity policies within the European Union, but also within Britain here. People are seeing their livelihoods draining away, and they are worried. And they felt that Brexit would give them an opportunity to respond to it. I think it's the wrong response economically, but I think we need to address this kind of underlying economic uncertainties.
In hindsight, then, as we heard former Prime Minister Tony Blair say, calling for the Brexit referendum was just a bad idea. Was David Cameron unwise to have taken this kind of political gamble?
I think it is a political gamble, and I think this is not something one should gamble with. I think it was his way of assuring party unity prior to the most recent general elections in the UK, and it helped him to win those elections. But of course, there's a price to pay for that, and that we see now within Brexit. I think in general there's the problem of having had one austerity budget after another here in the UK, which really has unsettled normal working people. And now we have the result in the Brexit decision of that.
Okay, Andreas Bieler, we're going to have to leave it there. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us.